black and white. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so I got into photography. I had a very busy, I was a medical oncologist for 40 years, and I had a lot of sick patients, took a lot of time, and I didn't have a lot of free time. And what I found with photography was it took me out of the fast lane and put me in the slow lane. It made me just stop and slow down. I started out 35 millimeter, went to medium format, and then around 2005, when digital came around, I was getting to the darkroom about once every 2 months, this kind of thing. So for me, digital worked out in order that I could do it, and I've stuck with digital. These images, some have been done, are medium format film that have been scanned, but everything's been printed digitally, and I won't tell you which ones were the film and which ones weren't. Anyway, this is the first image that I ever took that I thought I saw that sort of pre-visualization that Adam's talked about. I think I actually nailed it. I had gotten up, this is Forest Park in Springfield, I had gotten up early to take color pictures of the lotus blossoms. I looked out the window at 5:30. The fog was immense. I took out the camera that had the color film in it and put in my black and white and got this image, which I was pretty happy with. This is in Denali, in Alaska. My wife and I were there late one August, and we got there, and the help told us they hadn't seen the mountain the entire summer. It's now mid-August. We stayed in a little cabin. We each had an outhouse, and about 4:30 or 4 o'clock, I went up to water the flowers, and I came out, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And I went back in and said to my wife, "The mountain, you can see the mountain." She went to get out of bed and said, "It's 4:30. So I got my camera, my tripod, etc., and just lucked out that we happened to get there at the right time. This is winter in Yosemite. I just sort of loved how the trees were like dancing, a little bit of fog. I love it. As you can tell, I really do enjoy shooting in fog. This is along the Deerfield River in northern Massachusetts. July day, foggy. We got down into the water and just shooting down. This is a pond in Mass. This was, I would say, probably June. The sun was behind the forest, and it was just, I just loved the way that the trees lined up, the reeds. These all trees now have fallen down over the years, so I just lucked out in being there at the right time. This image is the most expensive picture I've ever taken. My daughter got married in Portland, Maine on December 1st, about 8 or 9 years ago. The next morning, I got up, I was going to go for a run, and the fog was pretty much encompassing the harbor. I had gone up, my wife and my daughter went up early the day before to get their hair done and their makeup done. I have so little hair, I'd have to worry about that. So I spent the day with my camera and tripod wandering up into Portland, so I, by luck, happened to have everything with me. So I went back to the room, went down to the harbor, and took this image. This is, we have a wildlife sanctuary called Arcadia up the road from us. And this was 2 days before Christmas. We had this incredible inversion and fog, and I had a whole huge number of images that I got that day. Just very still, I think what John Sexton calls quiet light. This was, I did, in 2000, I did a film course with John Sexton at his house in Carmel. And at the end, I asked him, well, where's Garrapatta Beach? You keep on talking about. So he told me where to go, and this was late in the day. I just happened to look out that the sun was almost at the horizon, and the tide was not up, and was able to capture this. Many people ask me where this is. This is in the west coast of Iceland. I was on a photo expedition, and fortunately for us, the drivetrain on the bus broke. So they had to call Reykjavik to send a new one, so we had about 5 hours to wander, and came across this incredible, and it tells you about the island, which is volcanic and everything is still moving.
So you can get us back there, right?
What?
You can get me back there or us?
Right, on my back, I know exactly where it is. This is in North Carolina, Smoky Mountains. It was actually raining lightly, springtime. I wasn't in the water, but got down low to get the rock to sort of anchor us here. This is Pemaquid Point in Maine. I was walking out and this just sort of jumped out at me. Wonderful tones of in the rocks, and it worked out reasonably well. This, you have to be in the right place at the right time. This is Boulder Mountain in Utah, and we were up at the top to catch the sun, and the storm was coming through. So as a result, we had these wonderful clouds, and it snowed a little the night before. And no technique, but this is about 6 images vertical stitched together. This is just around this corner from my house. I was out getting some stuff. I'd been out shooting. I'd stopped at the food store and came out of the parking lot and saw this, this shot. I purposely brought this because I'm sort of experimenting a little bit. I went to the Mapplethorpe exhibit down in the Guggenheim and saw his images, portraits done in platinum. So I've started to play with the dials and just get some different tonality. I'll be interested to see what people think. This is also in Forest Park in my neighborhood. And this last one is in eastern Greenland, last September, and this is cropped a lot because I was on a boat. Fortunately, it was pretty quiet. And I just loved how the clouds had interdigitated, the icebergs white, the mountains dark, and I thought it looked, we talked earlier about how the little images look good. I think this personally looks better big than little, but again, art is, you know, the eye of the beholder. So I'll stop there.
Well, you know what, I probably, up until I think this morning, I probably was a film snob. In that, you know, I would always say to myself, oh, I'm doing film, and, you know, they have all these controls. You know, I adore Peter Winnick's work, and then and when I walked back in from lunch, I thought about Paulette's work, and then I thought about Roy's work, and it really drove home when I looked at your work. All I'm appreciating is the visual capture of the scenery, and I'm not thinking that it's digital. I could care less. I'm just enjoying the hell out of the images that I'm seeing in the room. So let me thank you all for this morning. If you wiped away that snobbishness of me,
No.
This has been a real treat so far. Just simple thing.
Do you think in black and white when you see a scene?
The scene drives what I decide I'm going to do. You're right. I mean, certain things, I was just out in the Valley of Fire a couple of weeks ago, which is north of Vegas. Incredible color. And that would look terrible in black and white.
Yeah.
But my brain thinks different when I see certain areas, and I'm shooting specifically for black and white.
Do you ever print color, or you just?
Excuse?
Do you ever print work as color?
Yeah, I do.
Would you prefer the black and white?
Yeah, my love, my heart, if you will, you know, black and white, you know, color to me sometimes, color steals the scene. And here, it's the mood I'm trying to create. You can create, as you did, mood with color, no question. But I don't know, I'm not very good at writing, and but these just sort of, particularly foggy days, that's quiet. You know, I think some of it had to do, again, with me. I'm now retired, but getting away from the incredible fast pace I did to just sitting. And one thing that Charlie Kramer taught me about is when I'm getting an image, when I'm thinking about it, I have a map board that's, you know, cut 3:2, and I'm holding it this way rather than looking through the viewfinder. And I find that really, really has helped in composing the image.
Right, right.
So when you're exploring an area, you're holding a viewing card?
Yeah, so my backpack has a little place where I can put my computer and so I just pull out the card and I'll look at it this way or I'll move it this way, and I find that I better appreciate the scene as opposed to looking through the viewfinder. I mean, the last thing you do is, you look around the edges and make sure you don't have schmutz, but this, gets me to better compose the scene. I'd be real interested to see what people think of the different toned image at the end there. As I said, I'm just sort of experimenting.
It looks nice. I personally love warm tone images. I mean, this one here of the river, I missed that scene. Is that up here in this area?
This is in sort of north Massachusetts along the Deerfield River.
It has a wonderful feeling of light, which is emanating from the image, which draws you in. I mean, it's gorgeous. That's the feeling I get from it. It's like I could be there. I could smell that fog coming off the water, which is and that warmth, I think, for me adds to it. And I enjoy the warmer tone image down there. I personally, I like that.
That's 2 thumbs up on that image. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed, how did you tone that?
So I have an Epson printer, and just looking at the color wheel, you can sort of put the dot where you want it to be. And so I've just been playing with different tones to see how
For me,
things
that
look.
really works. It's not overdone. It's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
got a hint of a platinum tone to it. It really, for me, it really works very, very nice.